Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Let's seek the truth and travel the long road to justice together. What you know, Alibiers, welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi. Good to have you here. It's Saturday, February 7th. I wanted to update you on everything that happened last night in the search for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie. We had a flurry of activity yesterday evening, really that we haven't seen up to now. Before we jump in, I just want to say if you are on X or Twitter, whatever you call it, and you want constant updates when something happens, I highly recommend following Brian Enton, Michael Ruiz, and Brianna Whitney. They are on it with the updates. I'm going to post the links to all three of their X accounts and put that in the description. Yesterday, KOLD, which is a local Tucson station, received a new letter. Anchor Mary Coleman, who saw the letter, said it did not make ransom demands and it did not provide a proof of life. She also told CNN's Caitlin Collins it was more of a response to the initial videos that the family put out. We know the three siblings did one together, and then Nancy's son Cameron did one by himself. Her perception of seeing that second letter was that it included sensitive information, and there seems to be an effort to include details to prove this is the same person emailing both times. She said it was just as coherent as the first, but a little shorter. After news of the letter went public, after it was announced that there was a second letter, the Pima County Sheriff's Office issued a statement that said, the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Department are aware of a new message regarding Nancy Guthrie. Investigators are actively inspecting the information provided in the message for its authenticity. While this is one new piece of information, the FBI and the Pima County Sheriff's Department are still asking anyone with tips to contact the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. The FBI continues to offer a reward of up to $50,000 for information leading to the recovery of Nancy Guthrie and or the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in her disappearance. It was also reported that the IP address on this second letter was different than the first email, but they are using the same encryption or whatever barrier they're using to prevent law enforcement from tracing it was used again in this second letter. Former FBI agent Richard Kolko told CNN it's good that the kidnappers are talking, even if it's being sent to news stations and not to the family or law enforcement directly. He said if they want to go through the TV station, that's fine. As long as you get this line of communication established, then you can determine that the hostage takers are the real people involved. We'll do whatever we can to communicate with them. The FBI routinely talks through deadlines. I know there's a lot of stress on the families, a lot of stress on law enforcement, but this could be extended because they're in it for the business deal and they're going to do everything they can to keep her alive so they can complete their part of the deal. Now, a friend of mine who has worked kidnappings for years said what law enforcement needs to do is put the pin in the grenade, meaning slow things down. Try to get past that deadline without anything bad happening to Nancy. Yesterday, President Trump was on Air Force One and said something may come out reasonably soon from the FBI or the DOJ. A reporter asked about a suspect, and he answered something definitive. When asked about the federal support sent to Tucson, he said, I think we're doing very well on that regard. Very well, meaning we have some clues. I think they are very strong, and I think we could have some answers coming up. Now, investigators swarmed Nancy's house shortly after the announcement of that second letter. And for the first time, they moved the press way down the road. Now, this is the second time this week there's been a large presence at the home since the crime scene was released way too early by the sheriff's office. Michael Ruiz posted on X they were back after getting an amended search warrant, and that would be the third one. Investigators were seen with an older couple in the backyard. They seemed to be pointing things out to the investigators. We know nothing more than that. But what's interesting is next we saw an FBI agent climb onto the roof of a building that's not attached to the main house. To me, it looks like a pool house. She removed what looked to be a Nest camera that was mounted, and from what I could see, it looked to be pointed across the backyard, and that was attached to a solar panel. My question is, how was this missed after 5 days? Or is it possible that was put up to monitor the home? Right now, we don't know for sure. Now, I do have this same camera, and it does have an SD card inside that stores video locally. However, it rewrites itself after a certain amount of time. So hopefully there's something on there, but we're 5 days now, 6 days in. But for mine, it saves about 3 to 4 hours before it overwrites. Agents were also seen looking along a brick wall that is right beside the pool area, and they were also behind the house in the terrain looking for something. At one point, they did bring flashlights out, and they were pointing those where the terrain is a little thicker. But that's not all that happened last night. A little while later, they came and towed Nancy's car out of her garage, and it was taken to the sheriff's department. After that, 3 cars arrived at Annie Guthrie's house, including the forensics truck. But Brian Enton said they went to the side of the house and did not go inside. Michael Ruiz posted on X that according to their photographer, it was a forensics vehicle, a white Toyota Camry, and an unmarked Chevy SUV. 2 people got out of 2 of the vehicles and walked around to the side of the house. But they were there maybe 5 minutes, is what's being reported by people on the ground. Also, a media drone zoomed in on a broken floodlight that was attached to the main house next to a door. In that first letter, a floodlight was mentioned, as well as the placement of Mrs. Guthrie's Apple Watch to give proof they were in the house or very specific things that might show they're serious. And lastly, Nancy's neighbor reported a suspicious van parked on their street days before Nancy was abducted. The van was full-sized and it was unmarked. And the neighbor said normally vans like that are in the area to do work, they have logos or some kind of advertising on the side, but this was just your typical white van. So that's the latest for now. I'm going to be keeping an eye on everything all day long. I've parked it here, very invested in this case. So any updates, I'll likely do a YouTube short. So make sure you're subscribed and click that little bell icon if you want notifications of when I post new content or go live. I'm also planning to do a live today just for the chat lounge. So that way people can talk about the case. And also if there are some updates, I'll throw that in the chat as well. That is the latest. Hopefully we have a good update today that's positive, but it seems like things are moving quickly at this point as of last night. So hopefully they've got some credible information that brings us closer to finding Mrs. Guthrie and bringing her home. For me, I do believe that ransom letter has some validity to it because law enforcement is treating this as valid. And there are things I'm sure that were in both letters we don't know about that could have verified some very specific information to lend credibility that these could be the kidnappers. So we'll see what happens. I will update you, but that's it for now. Hope you guys have a good rest of your morning, and we will see you soon.